500 grams of flour, 6 grams of baking powder, 70 grams of sugar, oil for frying, 1 pinch of salt, 50 grams of butter, 3 whole eggs and 1 egg yolk, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and about 3 tablespoons of water. We'll start by sifting the flour. This is an important point to avoid clumps of flour in the dough later. We'll start by sifting a little bit at a time. This is the amount of flour we'll need for the dough, but if you need any more flour for working with the dough later on, you don't have to sift that. Now that the flour has been sifted, we're ready to add the remaining ingredients. We're adding a pinch of salt, and mixing it with the dough so there's no cluster of salt afterwards. We're adding the baking powder. It's a lot easier to mix ingredients if you can mix all the dry ingredients first. Mix the baking powder in so there are no clumps of that as well. Now that everything is well mixed, you want to make a hole in the middle to add the remaining ingredients. We'll start with the sugar, the vanilla extract, the butter. I'm using it fresh here, but you might want to use it at room temperature. It's easier to mix. The egg yolk, and the whole eggs. Now start mixing all the ingredients together with the help of a spatula. It's easier to mix things in this way, so the flour starts to get mixed evenly with the egg yolks. Once I've mixed things in, this is when I add the water. This is the dough mixed roughly, and you want to work on it on this flat surface with a bit of flour so it doesn't stick. Now you want to work on the dough for about 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. Always turning the dough slightly and punching it in through the center. This way the dough gets worked evenly and thoroughly. And you'll see that within 5 to 10 minutes the dough will become nice, smooth and elastic. Now the dough is smooth and elastic, as you can tell. We're going to place it on top of a sheet of plastic wrap. Cover it up. And we're going to leave it to rest in a cool place, not in a refrigerator, and with no hot wind. Now we're dividing the dough into about three pieces, 3 or 4 pieces if you like. We're going to leave the remaining pieces on extra pieces of plastic wrap. Cut in the second piece. Now these are the extra pieces that we're going to seal in a plastic wrap so they don't dry as we're working on the other separate piece. Flatten it out, wrap it well, and just set them aside. Now we'll work with this primary piece. You want to use some flour on your surface to work with. Knead the dough a little bit after it's rested. Now I divided the dough into 3 pieces, and it's a bit too much to work with to begin with, so I'm cutting this first piece in half. You want to lightly run it through the flour, and we're going to run this dough in the pasta machine. Now there are different settings on the machine. We'll be using the thickest one to work the dough first, to get it nice and smooth. It's okay if it's kind of sticky to begin with, it's alright. We're going to keep working until it's nice and smooth. So long as you can run some flour through it. Now, you want to fold it kind of like a book and run the bottom or top end, if you prefer, through the machine once again. After, of course, having run some flour through it. And you want to work on the dough until it comes out nice and smooth, until the thinnest setting. In this case, I'm using up to the fourth slot here. Once the dough is thin, you want to just cut it into rather large pieces with 2 slots in the center. This way it'll open up when you're frying. You can make this into any shape you prefer, but I guess we can say these are the original shapes. Just make the 2 slots in the center. Now even the corner, you can just cut that right in the middle, so it also bubbles up easier when it's frying. But you can really make this into any shape you prefer. Now we're ready to fry. You want to preheat the oil until it's hot enough that it bubbles. Now if you want to try this the first time, you just want to take a piece of the dough and try to drop it in the oil. If it starts to bubble like this one is, it's because the oil is hot enough. If you put it in when the oil isn't hot, it's just going to soak up the oil, and you don't want that. Now you're going to cook it and fry it until it turns golden on both sides. Deep fry it, of course. And then you want to drain it and set it on a platter with either paper napkins or paper towels to drain the excess oil. This is a rather fast progress, so in a matter of seconds it turns golden on one side. You want to turn it over, and that's it. Turn it over over it again, and you got the golden side. A couple of seconds and you're done. Now these are just the plain ones, and I sprinkled some sugar on these ones. You can sprinkle them with honey or anything you prefer.